Hello and welcome to today's episode of Two Pigs in a Pod, a podcast for the people of Glazing by the people of Glazing. I'm George, your host, and I've got not one but two guests on today. So give a warm welcome to Sam Nuckey and Sarah Binns. Welcome to the show, bye, both of you.
Thanks, George. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So as we always do with our podcast, is for guests to introduce themselves and who they are. So who are you and what do you do within our wonderful industry?
So I'm Samantha Nuckey. I'm Managing Director of Window Ware, and we're a window and door hardware distributor, as many of your listeners will know, based down in Bedford. I joined the company about 11 years ago, but worked for Schlegel previously for about 9 years in a finance director role. So that was my first taste of the fenestration industry, and kind of got hooked with the people, the products, and the difference that we kind of all make to homes around the UK.
Nice. And Sarah?
So I've been with Window Ware for the past, just over 25 years actually. So not many people will know, but I actually started out, I took the role from Paul Gravel at Yale. So he was the sales coordinator. So he went travelling, and then I then started my career at Window Ware at that point. So out on the road, we had John Walker. So it was really sort of fun time, sort of back in the day. And then kind of ever since then, really, I've done sort of many different roles at Window Ware. I've been out on the road as a area sales manager. I've done sort of tele sales, and then really sort of after I'd had my children, came back in, and then sort of looked after the sort of website and marketing. And as Sam says, sort of, to where we are today. As owners.
Yeah, nice. And what you mentioned it a bit there about the sort of the start of your careers in our industry, but what was your first impressions of it when you first started? Did you know anything about it? We speak a lot about this industry, about how people sort of fall into the industry, but how what was your sort of, how did you end up into the window industry?
I think, like lots of people, you tend to be told about a role or a role is advertised, and you kind of go for the role without really understanding where that role sits and the industry that you're kind of going into. And the more you kind of get to know customers and suppliers, that gives you a bit of a flavour. But I think once you start getting out into the industry, whether that's sort of in sort of a field sales role or doing visits or events and things, I think that's when you really kind of get captured by the industry. And there's just a sense of friendship and support. I think it's a really warm industry to kind of be part of. I've kind of worked in other industries, sort of engineering, tech companies, and various others. And there's no industry that I've worked in before where people form friendships and longevity of business relationships and sort of generally sort of look out for people. That's really unique with the fenestration industry, and I think it's a massive attraction. I don't know how you bottle that up and sort of sell that to people to kind of.
That's the age-old question, isn't it? So obviously we speak about, getting more people into our industry, but the people in the industry, like yourselves that have spent 10, 20 years in the industry, it's and even longer for some, it's there's a reason why people stay in our industry, but we just got to, like you say, bottle it up and try and sort of sell that part of it to say that the relationships are great, the people are great, but yeah, for whatever reason, it's just not sort of the new generations are not either being know about the glazing sector or want to come into it. But yeah, once you're in it, you're sort of in it for life, like you said.
You are, and I think for me, I've always been attracted to a bit of a challenge, so I don't like doing things that are easy. So for me, sort of, rocking up at Window Ware and sort of getting to know them quite, sort of straight away, realising the breadth of the range. There's a sort of 5,000 products to learn. And I think because I'm sort of naturally inquisitive and a bit of a problem solver, it's been a really good fit.
Yeah, I'd say that, I might get told off for saying this, but I think being on the hardware side of things must be the hardest part of our sector, just with the amount of products that you have and sort of different things that you've got to think about and remember. And I think, it's easy and it was hard enough to learn about the sector in general from sort of my end, but then to go into hardware where things are very small, so there's lots more of them. And yeah, it must have taken you a while to sort of get up to date with not just knowing about the products themselves.
Yeah, it does. A good 6 months, we say, sort of coming in the first sort of 6 months, you're like, oh my word, how many products? But you pick it up, and it's it's a great company to work for, I think.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Window Ware, like what initially attracted you to go to the company in the first place? Obviously, like you said, Sam, you've had 2 stints at it, but is it a case of that you was initially attracted to the company just because of the role?
It was a little bit of both, actually. So when I worked for Schlegel, Window Ware was literally just around the corner, so about half a mile. So they were 2 competitive hardware distributors, sort of very, very locally based in Henlow. So I was always aware of Window Ware. It's just that they were my team colours at the time, let's say. So when I saw a role come up, I was interested because I'd had a brilliant time in the industry when I'd worked here before, and I knew a little bit about Window Ware, so it was familiar. And there was a really good career path that was offered, and attracted to me. I was looking at relocating back to the area, having worked sort of in Maidenhead and other areas. So Window Ware was on my doorstep, so that was a big appeal for me with a young family. The career path, and I knew other people that had been inspired and worked in the industry for a long time and progressed. So I knew that was an option as well. And my first impressions when I came into the Window Ware building was that it was a really nice team and everyone was friendly and it was a nice place to go and work. And that's kind of what appealed. And I think then the more you kind of get back into it, the more that you kind of get reminded about all of the other positives of sort of being part of, as you say, a hardware distributor where you touch so many different parts of the industry, and meet and work with so many different people at all, sort of loads of different levels and different parts, whether it's systems houses, other hardware manufacturers, customers and fabricators and resellers. So yeah, it's just really varied. It's really fast paced, which suits me. I'm similar to Sarah. I'm a little bit of a problem solver. I like a bit of a challenge. I don't like the easy road.
Yeah.
So Window Ware kind of ticks all those boxes, and the industry is continually evolving with the shifts in terms of the different businesses, whether that's in terms of regulation, product coming to market. So there's always something new, and that keeps it exciting and it keeps you engaged.
Nice. And speaking of those sort of regulation stuff, how have your roles evolved over time? Have they, as we'll go on to the MBO in a bit, but how have your roles evolved since you first started to where you are now? Busier, I'm assuming.
Always busy. I think that's it, because it is so fast paced, and I think, as Sam said, our roles touch different, it's various touch points within the industry. So we're quite unique in that respect, and I think that Window Ware offers a variety of different roles, and I'm certainly lucky enough to have kind of started really right at the beginning with Window Ware, and then really sort of progress in my career, and been lucky to have training along the way and development opportunities. So kind of really have had a good career and a good understanding of the hardware market and the wider fenestration.
Nice. And speaking about the MBO, it was big news when it came out. I remember it coming out, and it was sort of big news for our sector, I think. And sort of what was it like to be on the inside? How did it sort of come about? And tell us all about it from your point of view.
I think the hardest part of it, George, to be totally honest, was keeping it a secret, which I did a particularly good job
you speak
of.
to so many people and you couldn't tell anyone.
Not easy, is it?
And I think it took so long to actually complete because of the preceding process that it almost became easier to avoid everybody rather than meet everybody and not be able to be honest. But I guess the MBO kind of the inception really was probably several years before the actual MBO, and even before R&I was up for sale. We were quite tight as a management team, so myself, Sarah and Reg, and we had a finance director at the time called Nick, and we just worked really, really well together, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And we used to say things like, oh, can you imagine if we could buy this company? Can you imagine if this was our company? Would you do it if it ever happened? If it ever came up? And no one ever said, hell no, like no way, I'm not interested. So it was always this little seed that was kind of there. And then when the R&R board said that they were going to sell the group, and they made it very clear that their proposition was to sell it as a whole. At that point, we were sort of on the inside, and I kind of worked with the R&R board a little bit around the sale. I was part of the sale team there, so I kind of knew what sort of people were looking at the group, and I could kind of make a fairly early assessment around whether Window Ware would fit, because we were different to the other businesses within the group. That's kind of where the idea started to really, I guess, become a little bit more real. And then as that sale progressed, when Assa Abloy tendered and their bid was approved by the board, we then started talking a little bit more internally about, okay, how do we want to do this? Are we all in for an MBO? Are we not? By this time, Nick had left, our finance director, and we'd got James who'd joined us. James wasn't in a position to join us in the MBO, so Reg, Sarah, and myself sat down and we came up with a plan. We built some 5-year financials with the help of James. We went to the banks, and the MBO happened. Said it took slightly longer than we thought, and I don't think any of us have really looked back. It's busy. We're each doing different. Some aspects of our role are different to what we did before because we're not part of a larger group, and there's good and bad in that, as there always is when there's a change. But it's been really positive for us. We've had a great first 3 years. The business has continued to grow. It's stabilised in its new form. We're well within our sort of chapter as an independent business. And probably the last sort of 12 to 18 months, we've really been able to start putting our own mark on it. And starting to think about where we take the business and what the opportunities are, and what direction do we each three personally want to take in the business, and that sort of thing. So it's probably one of those opportunities that doesn't arise very often in your life, and when it does, you just have to grab it with both hands and make it happen. And I think that's kind of what we all did.
Definitely. And was it a mix of sort of feelings of sort of, obviously the love for Window Ware in the first place, but sort of dauntingness of actually going from sort of being an employee or of the company to actually owning the company? What was that like to when it finally happened and it all gone through? Feel, wow, we're now the people that have got to run it.
I think it was more exciting than anything, because I think the three of us have worked for Window Ware for a long time, and we love the company, and we still do. And so to actually to sort of reach those goals that we've all got, I think we all are quite career driven. I know that I am, and so having that aspiration to do something like that, and it was great to have achieved it, and it was exciting more than daunting, because as a management team, we may have been under different ownership, but we've run Window Ware for a long time, and we've worked together, and we know it inside and out, and we really knowledgeable on the whole lot.
Definitely. And what would you say apart from keeping it a secret, but what were the challenges about taking over the business and sort of having to be was it doing those extra things that you probably didn't do before that you had to sort of add to your already busy sort of calendar, or was there other things that proved a bit more challenging sort of in when it first happened?
I think it was a combination of things. So in the build up, sort of pre the MBO completing, there was a couple of things happening in the background. So the sale of the R&R group to Assa Abloy at that time was conditional on the CMA. So at that time, the MBO was conditional on the CMA as well. And it took 9 months. That process took 9 months from the original sort of provisional sale through sort of being approved by the CMA and sanctioned, and it sort of went through relatively quickly within sort of 5 days. So we had to do a lot in the background, almost not really knowing if this was ever going to come to fruition or whether this was just going to remain a pipe dream sort of thing. And then during that time, we were talking to several banks about financing the deal for us. And you might remember we had the shortest MP the shortest prime minister
Yes.
at that time, and there was some announcements that were made, and the market, and all of a sudden the bank's attitudes just changed overnight.
Wow.
So we went from having a deal on the table that was ready to go and everything lined up to do an MBO, waiting for the CMA to sanction it, to the politicians messing around. And we were almost not quite back to square one, but it was very, very noticeable that the offers on the table changed. The engagement from the banks changed, and they just got really nervous. And all of a sudden, sort of lending at that level was seen to be more risky than it had done the previous week. And we were kind of caught up in that. We were so far down that process that we were in it, and we just needed to happen. So we did. We ended up speaking to a couple of people in the industry. Shawbrook Bank was recommended to us. We reviewed their proposal, and we kind of went with them, and they were great in terms of helping us get the MBO over the line and helping us finance the deal and do some of the things that we had to commit to in the first 12 months. So that was probably quite a large number of sleepless nights.
Yes.
The uncertainty was just changing almost week by week. The MBO was done. I don't think, I mean, it was just the sheer volume of what we needed to do, wasn't it? And and just trying to get through that, as well as sort of doing the running the day-to-day business. That's probably the biggest challenge I found. But
you were kind of wearing two hats, in that whole time. And anyone that sort of bought a business will know that there's a lot of sleepless nights. It comes with the territory. There's a lot of legal documents, a lot of reading, and you get through it, and that glass of champagne at the end
tasted very good.
Tasted very good.
It was actually 3 years. On Monday, actually, George, we all came and we were like, oh yeah, in 1.5 hours it will actually be 3 years since we did the MBO.
So perfect timing then. And you said the last 18 months have been sort of the time where you've really sort of seen sort of changes and be able to implement the changes. Can you sort of say what those changes have been and how it's made you feel to finally be able to sort of get past the initial stage of the MBO and sort of start building for the future?
Yeah, we had some conditions as part of the MBO that related to IT systems, related to policies and various processes, and also a Far East sourcing team that we'd originally shared as part of the group structure. So our first 18 months really were very much just dealing with those conditions and making sure that we'd set up our own teams, our own infrastructure and things within the time constraints that we were legally bound by. So that was meant that other things were sort of cost prohibitive, but also just time to do things properly. Whereas the last 18 months, we've started to look back at the teams and invested in the teams and making sure that we're really aware of who we've got in our business that's got some real talent and who we believe can grow with the business. We've looked at the product range. We've added products to the Regal hardware furniture, which has been really, really well received in the market since we launched, but we just couldn't bring any more products in that suite until more recently. And we've launched our own brand Armis, which we needed to do to kind of meet the demands of the industry and the changing dynamic of the sort of distribution channel, which we sort of swim in with various other hardware distributors. So that's been really exciting, sort of sitting down, doing the branding. We had some great sessions around thinking about brands and colours and thinking about how we wanted to position in the market from that perspective. We've sat down and done product design and then taken that to our Far East team. Nice. And brought that to life and that's selling really, really well. 2025 has been great for Armis and getting the brand out there, but also just having product out and being used by across the UK.
And I think what's sort of really unique is that we had that 18 months, as you said, Sam, with, having to meet the obligations and do all those kind of really big projects. It was a lot, and actually then getting back into the the strategy and the looking forward has been really quite fun to be in that area again, and you know, sort of we that's kind of what we accept. Well, I think we're pretty good at the operational stuff, but we're also really good at the strategy side as well. So it's been great to kind of get more stuck in with that and looking forward.
Nice. And what would you say has been your, you know, you're coming up to an anniversary now, so like you said, so what have been your proudest moments or achievements that, you know, it could be small things like you said, sort of looking at the other people as part of Window Ware and sort of helping them out. You know, we run regular stuff from you guys about your sort of mental health and well-being and things like that. But has there been other standout moments that you've had?
I guess probably one of the things that makes us quite proud is the team. So we lost very few people at the point that we did the MBO.
Nice.
And we went from going, you know, part of a £100 million group to Window Ware standalone. So just the faith that the team have put in us as owners and the management team of the business to go, we trust you guys to look after the business, to move it forward, to grow it, to create opportunities for all of us as employees is quite humbling, I would say, that people got behind us. And we did lose a couple of people in the field sales team right after the MBO. It kind of coincided with the sale of the group, so I think there was things in, and some of those have kind of come back. And that's always really nice as well, that people sort of say, we enjoyed working at Window Ware and actually we've worked in other places, but we want to come back and we want to be part of the team again. I think that's probably one of the things that I don't take for granted.
No, and I think we've been really lucky, you know, amongst the employees. We've always had also had the brand partners as well out there. So some of our suppliers, they have been you know, sort of really supporting us along the journey and wanting us to kind of do well, and customers as well. You know, all of these really key stakeholders for us have shown their faith and supported us, and you know, Sam says we genuinely don't take that for granted, and you know, we are grateful.
When we think about it, like, so Sarah, Richard and I have all grown up in Bedford, so we all went to school here. We didn't go to the same schools, but we were just three kids who grew up in Bedford who know that they were going to be running a plus £20 million business in Bedford with a team. You know, that we all had aspirations and we're all career driven, but sometimes it's a little bit of a pinch me moment that
I guess it's nice to sort of when you get to anniversaries and things like that, to actually step back and see what you've done in those years, even pre the MBO, to see where you've come, and to now be a local person running a local business of that stature is quite a big deal.
Definitely. I think, you know, people can achieve. It goes to show that if you want to achieve something, you can. You know, my journey, I didn't particularly have a great secondary school experience. I did go to college. I did a different sort of academic route through an apprenticeship. But I think hard graft, being inquisitive, listening and learning, that means more than anything. And I think, you know, for anyone out there, you can absolutely achieve your dream. You've just got to really work hard. And
definitely. And going on to speak about the industry in general, you know, what's standing out for you right now? Is there anything that from Window Ware or in that hardware sector in general that are thinking, you know, this is going to be for next year, maybe this is going to really sort of turn some heads?
I mean, 2025 has been a funny year. There was a lot of change that happened in particularly the hardware side in the early part of 2025. Probably less so actually in terms of sort of businesses and sort of personnel moves in the second half. And that always kind of creates opportunities and a little bit of sort of disruption, which is positive if you're the stable ones, which we were at the time. So I guess I'm kind of hoping that 2026 is a little bit more just getting back down to business and not kind of watching what's changing, because yeah, I mean, early in the year, as you know, there was almost every week there was an announcement of some sort of some change and move in the industry. But there's, you know, there's lots of new stuff, I think, that's sort of been coming out, whether that be products that are coming out from the system side on the aluminium and PVC. We've seen sort of new hardware products being brought to market with our brand partners. We always sort of get early sight of those because we work as part of their sort of product roadmap, and sort of feed into that. So that's always exciting to sort of see those come into fruition and be able to sort of share those in sales meetings, ready for the team to go out and talk about them in the market and use them as solutions for fabricators. So yeah, I don't think I ever remember any year in the fenestration industry where there isn't lots to talk about, lots of things. And so yeah, I think that's that will probably be the same in 2026. Although sometimes we should be a little bit slower for a few weeks just to take a breath.
I mean, I can't see that. Can't see it happening, but yeah, no, we can all wishful think.
Okay. I mean, let's face it, the industry has seen a huge change in the last 25 years. I mean, we've gone from what would be the, if you sort of think of climbing raised doors, they were all the rage back in the 90s. And, we are really seeing some beautiful aesthetics now with windows and doors. They are, really quite something in today's market. So I think it's really the homeowner embracing those design choices is what's driving the change, I think. And obviously with everything all of our industry experts are doing, and the innovation, but we are seeing certainly from our side sort of a lot more flush sash products, a lot more aluminium, vertical sliders. It's those sort of higher ticket value items that are really sort of increasing in popularity. And then the homeowner, of course, then wants the complementary furniture to go alongside that. So
yeah, nice. And sort of speaking about sort of future proofing the business and things like that, was at the Glazing Summit and things like that, and talk about sort of AI being a massive sort of thing for this year. How Window Ware sort of going about this to sort of future proof the business? There's digitalization and things like that, and sustainability. How are you guys sort of looking at the future from that point of view?
We do look a little bit at AI. We don't use it massively in the front end of the business, but we do use it in the business. And I think for us, we just need to find the balance between continuing to be a really personable business, and that's kind of the balance we're trying to strike. But we have quite a high level of sort of technology and automation in the business already, largely to sort of drive convenience and response from a customer perspective, but also to maintain high levels of accuracy and service, because they're kind of critical to our sort of proposition to our customer base, that it does need to be, it's a real cliche, but sort of right first time. It's so important in a next day business. So it's probably not new to us in terms of looking at how we digitalize things, because we've sort of been doing that in the business since sort of about 2015, 2016. Started sort of building that sort of technology platform and really sort of developing it year on year. The website is also going to be relaunched in early 2026, so I'll hand over to Sarah a little bit on that. But that looks great already, and has got the next iteration and all of the new features that we've wanted to deliver. So that's definitely how we need to future-proof the business. We just need to continue to look at ways to use technology to work with our customers or to drive the high service they expect of us internally. But the website is definitely going to do that, I think, and provide a new opportunity with sort of fabricators and resellers or anybody that arrives on our website platform.
Absolutely. I mean, this is now my third website. And it's obviously going to be a great site for customers, and we always design it with the customer in mind. What's going to make it easier for them? What features are going to are going to help and speed things up for them and make it more efficient. And so we genuinely got some really cool, clever features that we're really excited to show the customer base. So there's been a lot of work, as always is with these things, getting all the product data and all the content all ready to go, and it's had a real sort of fresh design feel as well. So we're really hopeful, and we're really excited to get this launched.
Nice.
And as sort of Sam said, in terms of digitalization and AI, as much as for us it's there are ways in which we can use it, I think we're genuinely excited to see how the homeowner might use it in terms of making those window and door purchase decisions. Because I think it will really help to visualize what your house is going to look like, and to maybe get faster pricing, or if you want to change the finish, or you want to look at different options to be able to do that more quickly and aid a faster decision, is definitely going to improve the whole supply chain and make that a shorter purchase journey.
Nice. And before we move on to talk about your upcoming challenge, Sam, when is the website? I'm sure you won't want to put an official date on it, but when can we expect to see the new website go live?
Early next year.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
That was confidently said there.
yeah, exactly. Well, no, we'll definitely look forward to seeing it, as I'm sure people that go onto it will want to see it. So yeah, I guess watch this space.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the version, so it's well worth looking out for. So it's 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 definitely in early 2026. It's almost within reach.
Perfect. And speaking of 2026, Sam, you are one of our team members that's going on the Machu Picchu tour next, just under a year away. So yeah, can you let us know how that came about, and how you're feeling about it currently?
I guess it came about on the PiGs London event, really. That's kind of when it really started to get a little bit of traction. But I had spoken to Sarah when she was pulling the team together for Kilimanjaro. And I'd spoken to her and Andrew Charlesworth. And I was interested at that point, but because of the timing of our MBO, it wouldn't have really been very fair for me to sort of disappear and leave Reg and Sarah in the business for a period of time. So I think when we started talking about it on PiGs London, and they started to sort of share a little bit more of the details, that kind of piqued my interest again. And I guess I'm the sort of person that if I've got something to work towards, then I can become quite focused. I've been promising to go on a fitness journey now. I have to say, for a number of years. And I was going to do an event for Hope House at one stage with Gary, and that got cancelled during COVID. And I haven't really found anything yet to kind of really make sure that I stick to those sort of fitness promises. So yeah, that's what my plan is. But
yeah, that's some fitness journey to go on. That's instead of just going on the Inca Trail is a pretty impressive one to start out on.
Yeah, so we'll see how I go between now and October. But yeah, I know that I've kind of got sort of 10 months left to make sure that I'm ready to do the team proud. Yeah. But I think it'll be an amazing experience with everybody. It's a bit of a lifetime opportunity, and sometimes you just have to seize those when they come along, and that's kind of what I'm doing, and maybe hoping for the best a little bit. But yeah.
Nice. And you mentioned about Andrew Charlesworth there. Obviously Harry's Pals is for the charity that's set up in his son's name. Can you tell us a bit about sort of your feelings towards the charity itself, and how it feels to be raising money for such a brilliant charity?
Yeah, I think what Andrew and Hayley do is amazing in terms of providing support to parents and families that are trying to face a future that looks a little bit different to what they perhaps originally imagined, and all of the support and emotions that come with that. I've got 3 children now that are all sort of 18 and older, and I've been really, really lucky in terms of my children have always had good health, and I haven't needed that sort of support. And I just can't imagine what that would have been like if if I'd have experienced challenges that with the futures that my children were facing, that and just didn't have that sort of support and advice and around me. So I think it's one of those charities that just needs as much awareness and much promotion as possible, because there's just so much good work and so many people out there that need the support that Harry's Pals can provide, and makes a massive difference to lives. And it's a very, very small thing that we can kind of all do to kind of support that.
Yeah, nice. And how are you getting on at the moment with training? Obviously, I know you've got a few walks planned for the new year, but obviously we posted your sort of a few pictures that you took of your first sort of walks and stuff like that. How are you feeling currently at the moment, and the training that you're doing?
Yeah, I've just been doing local walks at the moment, really. As you may know, Bedford is particularly flat, which is a problem for doing training walks, because there's not too many undulating hills here.
No.
Just trying to get my steps up to start with.
Yeah.
We've got some walks early next year, I think March, April, May. I'll do some other walks elsewhere. I've got family all over the UK, so
Nice.
lots of people that I can go and visit and sort of build walks into the weekend with as well. So, but yeah, for now, I've sort of been at my desk for quite a long time and not doing enough fitness. So yeah, just getting the steps up is my goal for this part of the year. And then start to build up from that next year.
Yeah, amazing. And what are you least looking forward to and most looking forward to? You know, it's a bit of a way away, so I'm sure as it gets closer, there'll be a few things that creep in, sort of nerves and things but yeah, what are you most looking forward to and not so much?
The thing I'm most looking forward to is the challenge and the team. Just being part of a team and the camaraderie with that, and just helping each other through. That's the bit that I think that I will really embrace. I've always been really good with heights and things like that. And more recently, I seem to be developing a little bit of a fear that's probably the thing I'm least looking forward to. I haven't looked too much at the trail. I have no idea whether there's, I know it's at a great height, but I have no idea what that's going to look like. And that's a good thing for me, because yeah, there's just a little bit of nervousness creeping in about, okay, the physical side of it is fine, I back myself to get there, but actually some of the other challenges when we're up there, I think they're probably a little bit more daunting for me than I perhaps want to let on. So
Yeah, no, knowing obviously the team, some of them that did Kilimanjaro that are doing this one, I know the team was a massive part of any fears, of sort of allaying any fears and helping people through it, because yeah, it's not going to be easy. But I think yeah, with a team like that of full of people, you know, that you probably know but get to know on such an extent during these trips, is sort of outweighs any sort of fears that you'll probably have.
Yeah,
I think you're lucky. You've got a really great team as well.
Yeah, I think it's really that's sort of building and coming together. And you're right, I know a few people in the team, but I don't know anybody particularly well. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to kind of get to know everybody better on the training walks, and then obviously at the main event itself.
Yeah, nice. And Sarah, how did you feel when Sam, obviously you was there too at the London event? How did it feel when Sam was like, yeah, I'm definitely doing this? Like, how did it feel from you, from both obviously a friend point of view and a colleague point of view, but also from a business owner point of view?
Well, we're really supportive. I mean, it's a great thing for the industry, and it's great to do these things, and particularly for Harry's Pals. And so we're rooting for Sam and everybody else, to be honest with you. We just want to, raise loads of money and do whatever we can to kind of help spread the awareness and increase those sponsorships. So we'll be helping Sam out and, along the way. So.
Nice. And lastly, how can people donate? I know you've got a Just Giving page that's up and running, but yeah, how else can you sort of get in touch with you?
So yeah, if anybody wants to provide any support, then please feel free to email Sarah or myself. There is a Just Giving link that's gone out as well. So yeah, anybody that's happy to tap on the link and provide some sponsorship would be great. And then I'd encourage everyone to support the PiGs events next year. So I know that Sarah always does a great job in terms of trying to raise some funds and things and support at those. And they're going to be critical next year as we kind of build up to October. So I think there's loads of ways that people can kind of get involved and support and share, even if it's just sharing posts when we put them out there and stuff, just to sort of raise awareness of the event and get behind from a business or a personal donation perspective.
Nice, perfect. And obviously we'll put your Just Giving link at the end of this podcast so people would see it and hopefully get some well deserved fundraising donations to Tara Harry's Pals.
Brilliant, thank you.
Brilliant.
Well, that's it for the main part of the podcast. So we're going to quickly move on to our quick fire question round now. So if you've seen our previous episodes, it's just, I'll ask you a question. It's just one word, one sentence answer. And because there's two of you on today, whoever wants to do it, or you both can do it. And the first thing that comes to your head. So the first thing that we always ask is, do you prefer talking over email or by phone?
Phone.
Nice. Are you the first person in the office or the last out?
Last out.
I'm last out. Never the first.
What's your go-to comfort foods? Is there any sort of a cuisine that you'd go for if you had to, or is there a food that you'd cook at home?
Pasta.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
I'm probably a bit of a Haribo fiend. If I'm a little bit low or a little bit down, I tend to get a bag of Haribo, and that kind of helps me out.
Nice. Well, that moves on quite nicely onto my next thing. Is one thing you can't live without?
Haribo. Chocolate.
No. What would be your most used emoji when talking about work? If it's between you two, or to family or whatnot, what's your most used emoji?
Mine's probably the little smiley face.
Nice.
I like the slanted smiley face as people laugh. But my husband gets a regular eye roll.
I get slated a lot for using too many emojis at home, actually, in any of my messages.
I work in marketing. We love an emoji.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And lastly, this can be for both of you, or it might be with each other. But if you could swap roles with anyone in the company for a day, who'd it be, and why?
Oh,
I know. Well, I just, I wish I had this skill set actually, but it would be one of my marketing team. So either Kimberly, she's our graphic designer, and she does some phenomenal work, or Vicky. Vicky writes all our content. I quite like doing a bit of both of that.
Nice.
I really enjoy. They do a great job. And I'd love to have
a day in the life of them.
We should do that.
Yeah, nice. Sam, have you got any ideas who you'd want to, or do you want to swap with Sarah for a day? See what she does for a day.
Sarah was the person that I was thinking of, because I get involved in a very, very little part around marketing, but it is the business that I get quite excited about and have to hold back a little bit on that. Probably a day in.
You'd love it.
A day in Sarah's.
Perfect day.
She'd have to undo everything that I'd done on that day.
I look after IT as well. Are you sure you don't want that, Sam? Just the marketing.
I'll take IT, but only for one day.
One day is plenty.
Yeah, one day only.
Nice. Well, thank you very much to both of you for coming on the podcast. As our last part, we like to get our guests give a shout out to people. It might be people within Window Ware, outside the industry, friends, family, whoever. So whoever wants to go first, fire away with your shout out or shout outs.
Yeah, I think we gave the Window Ware team a little bit of a shout out afterwards, earlier on. But I think there's sort of a few people in the industry that really got behind us when we did the MBO at the beginning. So Lee Manson and the RW Simon team, Dean Bradley and the Gladspart team, Paul Gravel and John Fletcher over in Asser, Kev Whiting and Steve Langton in Mako, and there's probably loads others, but the support and the people that reached out and just said, look, if there's anything that we can do to kind of help and support the business in its new chapter, then just let us know. It was quite phenomenal. So a shout out to everybody for helping us get to where we've got to.
Definitely.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Two Pigs in the Pod today. It's been great to hear about your careers and sort of working your way up at Window Ware to being business owners, and what's left to go, both now and in the future.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks, George.
Thanks, George.
So that's it for today. So you can find this episode and all our others on our YouTube channel at People in Glazing Society, on our website www.peopleinglazing.co.uk, and also available to download on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And once you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. So once again, thanks to Sam and Sarah for joining us, and see you again soon.